You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Greetings and salutations. This is episode 99 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Shawn as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 99. I'm here with my brother Robin, and we're going to talk all about the new adventures of his life. How are you today?
I'm not too bad, and how are you?
I'm terrific.
Good.
Good. So this is episode 99.
Yes. Episode 99.
I was going to make a joke about Wayne Gretzky, but it wasn't going to be a very great one.
Ah, I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
I see
That's
what you did there. That's not bad.
I was thinking about it all day, how to make that funny, but...
I almost took the wind out of your sails there.
You did. I had to delete that part. So
Sorry about that. I had no idea that was coming.
I guess we think alike.
I guess we do.
Okay, so you've been on Soul Forge before.
I have.
We talked about childhood memories and all kinds of trauma and things.
Yes.
I don't remember which episode that was, but I think it was on Skype.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then...
yes, it was. It was a conversation I think we were having that turned into an episode, essentially.
I think it just did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, every time I go back to the Sioux, we get together, we record some Rusted Robot podcast, we recorded some Space Jam podcast that you hosted.
That's right.
We always had your buddy Whit on to talk about his lack of sexual experiences and then all the sex that he had.
Then all of the sex, yeah.
So...
it's like a graduation process for him.
It kind of is.
Joining the Soul Forge podcast.
That's true.
So I'm hoping with me returning, that trend will continue as far as the graduation and the growing and getting better.
We'll have to see how that goes.
We'll have to see how that goes.
All right. So you, my friend, are my younger brother.
That's right.
You recently turned 33.
Yes, 33.
How does that make you feel?
Some days I feel 70 physically,
Yeah.
but I still feel young mentally.
Well, that's good. That's good.
For the most part.
For the most part. Okay. Well, you're here, and why are we recording an episode? Well, you are embarking on a new chapter in your life.
Yes. Consider it my spiritual journey.
And are you saying that because you're 33 and that was the age of Jesus and you're super religious?
I am not religious at all.
So it's just a coincidence.
It's just a coincidence, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about this new chapter.
All right, let's do that.
So we're here in Timmins.
Yes.
We are both born and raised in Sault Ste. Marie.
Correct.
And I've been in Timmins for 16 years, roughly.
Yeah.
You have been here for 3 days.
3 days.
On your journey.
On my journey.
Of who knows how long. Because this past weekend, Brother Curtis moved you up here.
That's right.
And now you're here.
And now I'm here.
And he just kind of threw your stuff in the back of his truck, moved you up here, dropped the stuff off, and left.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he said, Shawn, now he's your trouble, your problem, your responsibility. You deal with him.
Yeah.
Pretty much, right?
Pretty much is how it went, yeah.
Yes. So why did you choose to leave the Sioux at this age?
It was tough to leave the Sioux.
Yes, because you had a whole life there.
Yes, a whole life. My children, especially, are there.
Yes.
And I had to do some deep critical thinking about this decision. And staying in the Sioux was just not a healthy one.
Okay, because you were born and raised there.
Yes.
You lived there your entire life. You never went away to university like Curtis and I did.
I went to school or college locally at Sioux College.
Right, so you've never had the experience of
living
outside of Sault Ste. Marie.
That's right.
The Sioux, as we call it.
Mm-hmm. The sewers.
The sewers.
That's what also we call it, too.
That must be new.
It's newish.
That wasn't the
It's
thing.
not a good one either, but, it's the sewers.
Well, it works.
Yeah.
Okay. So, 33 years old.
33 years old.
Moving in with brother Shawn.
Moving in, yeah, with brother Shawn, out of the city, up here in Timmins.
Yeah. And you've come here
Yes.
quite a bit. You've visited off and on.
Yes, I've been coming here almost as long as you've been living here for a visit, essentially.
Pretty well. You've probably been here 10 or a dozen times.
Yeah. So I'm somewhat familiar with the city.
You are. You like the town?
I do. I don't mind it here. Anytime I came here for the visits, it was always a holiday because it got me out of Sault Ste. Marie.
Right.
It was beautiful. It was lovely. It's quiet here.
You find?
I find it quiet.
I consider it the land that culture forgot.
Well,
but it's gotten better since I moved here.
It has increased over the time that I've known it.
Yes. And I'd like to think I brought some of the culture here with the podcast.
I think you may have.
I don't know if that's true,
I don't know,
I would like to think so.
Well,
but
you might as well give yourself a pat on the back.
I might as well, because nobody else will,
No,
right?
exactly.
So here it is, pat on the back for Shawn. But no, now you're here.
Yeah.
You recently ended your podcast run.
Yes.
About 2 or 3 months ago?
About 3 months ago. Yeah.
What prompted that?
Exhaustion.
Really?
Yes. I was exhausted from doing that and a whole bunch of other stuff that I was doing.
Oh.
Let's just say I'm a man who was wearing many hats.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, because you've been wearing the same one since you got here. So.
Metaphorically, of
Oh,
course.
metaphorically. Okay.
Yes.
I never learned to speak metaphorical.
No?
No.
You should.
It sounds fascinating. Maybe you'll have to teach me.
Your
out there.
vocabulary will rise.
It'll increase.
Yes.
Oh. It'll double.
Yeah, that's right.
Or something.
Something like that.
Okay. So, but you quit the podcasting. The Space Gem is no more.
It's no more. There could be a return in sometime in the future, but
It wasn't a sad decision?
no. We were both pretty much fed up with it, and we didn't have we had a few dedicated listeners. But that wasn't be enough to drive anybody. We were talking about the same things every week. It was very repetitive. And there's only so much of that stuff that you can talk about before it gets old.
And so you did it for about 3 years?
3 years.
Okay.
To the dot, we did it for 3 years.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's a good run.
Yeah. And then we shut it down, and
Well, Rusted Robot has been going it was 5 years back in this past January, so we're almost at 5.5 years.
yeah.
I did take a 4-month hiatus in between the end of my marriage
Right.
and the end of that podcast host, and then before I got Josh on it.
Yeah.
So retooled it and made it fresher, I guess.
Yeah.
And Soulforge has been going since the end of July 2017, so it's almost 2 years old. And
Growing
yet-
like a baby.
Growing like a baby. I'm not exhausted.
No.
I love podcasting. I think it's the best thing I've ever done. It's my favorite. I don't necessarily have as many listeners as I would like, or I don't get the feedback I would like.
Yeah.
But I do it because I love it, not because I'm going to get rich on it or
Oh,
be
yeah, we never
super famous.
We never did it to do that either. But we did like to have these discussions anyways. And they were just stuff we'd always talk about regardless, so we decided to put it in a podcast.
Yeah, lots of people do that.
Yeah, and then so it's just, it got to be too much work on top of all the other work I was doing.
I do understand.
And it just, it was too much, and I had to start eliminating things.
So the podcast had to go.
The podcast had to go.
And I get that. The other day, I had I guess you would call it a podcast co-host or host meeting with the guys from the ESO network, which of course Soulforge and Rusted Robot are part of.
That's right. Yes.
So every few months they do not necessarily a podcast, but a Skype or Zoom call where they talk about the state of the network and so on and so forth. And we as hosts just listen in and see what's coming up and what the plans are.
Right.
But I stayed past the end of the call and was talking to Mike and Mike, the co-hosts of Earth Station 1 podcast, the flagship. And they were both saying how much they enjoy Soulforge because it's totally unlike anything anybody else is doing because the topics are so varied and various and just different.
Yeah, really, that's amazing.
So that was nice. That was awesome feedback.
Yeah, for sure.
It's rare to get it. Get a lot of good feedback from Richard from Australia.
Oh yes.
He often likes and comments on the episode links on the Facebook page.
I noticed this seems to be a pretty well respected podcast Because even back home, some of my friends would listen to it.
Really?
And, yeah. So, and it's always, there's always a different topic. There's always a different story. It's always different, but it's still the same.
Yes.
And just different enough that it's always interesting.
I like to keep the topics very random and often talk about things that people don't talk about.
Right.
To get the dialogue going. Not necessarily, they're not emailing me, soulforgepodcast@gmail.com, but if they're talking to their friends or even thinking about things that they normally wouldn't think about because this has prompted it, that's what it's for. And speaking of podcasts, let's just go ahead and we'll throw a promo for another podcast here on the ESO Network into the show.
Previously on Podcasserole. Glomer is one of the most underrated cartoon characters of all time.
Some call Glomer the Jar Jar of the PBU, you know. I haven't stepped foot inside of a Subway since, really.
And neither is Jared.
It's true.
You're over at my home every week. Is there a meth lab here?
Not a big one.
I choose him, the one called Kirk. I'm freaking James T. Kirk.
Find out more about Podcasserole now on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Google Play. And don't forget adamandjp.com and the ESO Network.
And whatever promo I just posted in the editing sequence, it's an awesome podcast, and you guys should all check that out.
That's right.
Now back to your life, Robin.
Back to my life.
Basically, what happened was you had no more job prospects.
No more job prospects.
What happened?
Well...
Because you were working at the Dodge dealership for, 3 years?
3.5 years.
Okay.
There was a certain manager who didn't get along with...
Yours truly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we butted heads.
Uh-oh.
I questioned things. How dare I?
You didn't toe the line.
Yeah, exactly. I was a loose cannon, if you will.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yes, because for listeners who may not know, your dad, my stepfather, his nickname was Cannon.
That's right.
So therefore, you're a loose cannon.
I'm a loose cannon. You see what I did
pretty
there?
clever. That's inside baseball, though.
So, anyways, now, yes, I was late a couple of times throughout the year, or the last year or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It happens. Mm-hmm. Some people can claim it's never happened to them, and good for them. I applaud you. But some of us are not meant and built to wake up early and start our day. I am not.
You're a night owl.
I'm a night owl, exactly. And mornings are extremely difficult. Getting to sleep at night is extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. I'll toss and turn for hours, things like that. So it's tough.
Yeah.
In that regard right there anyways, knowing I have to get up every morning at that time.
Yes. And what was your start time? 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
Okay.
Now, what happened was I rolled into work about 2 hours late.
2 hours late?
2 hours late.
So you get to work about 10 o'clock.
Yes.
But you didn't call them to say that you had slept in and were on your way.
Right.
You just showed up to work.
Well, yes, I didn't have time to call. I didn't think about calling. I was already that late. So I decided to just get up and go.
Okay.
Got dressed and gone.
It's a decision anybody could have made.
Yes. My phone wasn't able to make phone calls while I'm driving. Plus, that's dangerous and illegal, so I wasn't going to do that either.
Okay.
And so I got to work and said what happened. Worked for about an hour before the happening.
The happening.
Before
they let you go.
Before they gave me the old future endeavored. Yes.
Ever so gracefully.
And that was in January.
Of 2019
this year.
Okay. So
now,
you were
I wasn't upset that I left that place.
Yeah.
I was looking for another job, and what I had wanted to do was take my 2 weeks vacation and give them my 2 weeks notice. That's what I wanted to do. That didn't happen, obviously.
And at this job, you changed oil.
Yes.
Okay.
I was an oil change extraordinaire, dipstick.
A dipstick specialist, if you will. Okay.
That's right. And so, anyways, I was tired of it. I wasn't going any further. It was my...
No room for advancement.
I had hit the glass ceiling, and I was stuck.
So you showed up late and got fired?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I didn't show up late on purpose.
No.
It wasn't... But, like I said, mornings
tired.
suck. And sometimes my alarms don't wake me up.
Right.
I sleep right through them.
I can vouch for that.
Yes, you can. And so that's what happened to me. So then I was without work for almost 2 months.
Which you can't pay bills if you don't have
can't
money
pay
coming
bills
in.
if you're not working.
Yeah.
So
you got behind on some bills.
I got behind on some bills. And it snowballed.
As it does.
As it does. Then I got a job.
Mm-hmm. Working at Canadian Tire?
At Canadian Tire in the garage.
Doing what?
Well, to my knowledge, I would be doing oil changes and tire swaps and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I was doing more grunt work than anything that was not oil changes and not actual work.
Just the crap jobs. Nobody else wants to do it. Make Robin do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
That was what I did at Home Depot.
Ah, yeah. And there was one day where I did like 5 oil changes.
Yeah.
And that took up the better part of my day because you have so much to do. It's not a quick lane. It's go and it's tedious and lengthy. But nonetheless, I did 5 of them.
Okay. Is that good or bad?
That was great for me.
Okay.
Because I was finally doing something that I was familiar with.
Yeah.
And okay, but I don't have a passion for that. I don't love that.
You're not passionate about changing oil?
No.
Imagine.
But not even like working on cars either, though.
Okay.
There's and some people will be like, well, that's really weird because a lot of guys love their cars and love to do all that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really care. I like certain ones and
sure
I want to get certain ones or have them and when I'm rich in my big fancy garage with 35 vehicles, but.
I get it.
Yeah, it doesn't bring me joy.
Okay.
So that was another thing that I realized. So I was there for a month, and because I was on probation, I went to work one morning. I was there 5 minutes before they brought me in and let me go with no reason.
So
off I went.
Off you went. How long were you there for? A month?
A month.
So enough to get 2 checks, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Not enough to really make a dent in the bills that you had?
No.
Okay. So you have all these bills. You have no money coming in. You have kids to support.
Yes.
You have a house to pay for.
That's right.
Car payments, insurance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all these bills, you couldn't pay them.
That's right.
So what happened?
Well, where do we start here?
Okay, so
there's a lot.
There is a lot.
There's a lot, and I don't know what.
You are free to talk about as much as you're willing to talk about.
Okay. I made a
tactical error.
Tactical error, yes, and had to try to save money where I could and cut corners until I could find a steady income again.
Right.
In order to.
Because the Sioux is very job sparse. It's hard to get work there.
It is, and. Even with connections, it's still difficult.
Right.
So I had I felt like I had exhausted all my
options and
resources at that point.
Okay.
The only other option for me would be to go on assistance.
Right. Which you have too much pride for.
Yes. I feel
strongly that you don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I understand what it's there for, and I understand that.
And you could have used it.
And I could have used it. And I was actually making the initial attempts and steps to get an interview with them and stuff. But I couldn't stomach it. I couldn't handle it. So, couldn't do it. So what I did was I cut the insurance off on my vehicle. But I was really stupid and I did not buy a new plate sticker for the following year.
Because your birthday's in February.
Because my birthday was in February.
And so the sticker had expired in 2019 February.
Yes.
But now we're in March?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was about 3 weeks into March.
Okay. So you had no insurance on the car.
No insurance on the car.
An outdated sticker.
And an outdated sticker.
What happened?
Well, as I was traveling home, wouldn't you know it, a police cruiser pulls up on the street coming up behind me.
Uh-oh.
And he pulled me over because of my sticker.
Okay.
That was the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then, with that, came
the license and registration.
And then the insurance, and then I had to come clean and tell him why I didn't have insurance, and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucked.
I bet it did.
And it included my car getting impounded for 7 days.
Yeah.
I was living off the last check I had from Canadian Tire.
Right.
Which went to pretty much getting my car taken care of.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Okay.
And, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been.
Okay.
So there was a little bit of the silver lining.
Oh.
It could have been anywhere between like a $5,000 fine that I could have paid.
Ouch.
So I didn't have to pay that, at least.
Right.
So
you got lucky.
I got lucky.
Okay.
I got lucky there.
So now you don't have a car.
So now I don't have a car because couldn't afford the payments on that.
So it went back to the dealership.
It went back to the dealership. I self-repoed it.
Okay.
So
Which sometimes you have to do.
sometimes you have to do that. Yeah,
Mhm.
things have to be done, and that included losing my car, losing the house because I can't afford the house.
Right.
When you have no job,
No.
utilities, everything else, food, groceries. Oh no, couldn't. Yeah.
Too many bills, not enough money.
Exactly. So decisions needed to be made.
Yes.
Discussions were had.
They were had.
And we all felt that the best course of action for myself was to come here.
Now, why did you come here instead of moving in with Brother Curtis, who was still in the same town?
Well,
Because there was no job prospects? So
no
there was
job prospects.
Really no point?
Really no point.
Okay.
I had offers to stay at other places, so it wasn't like I had nowhere to stay. It
Yeah.
wasn't like I'd be homeless.
Okay.
It's just I found it was getting too toxic there. It feels like there's like a poisonous fog around you
Okay.
when you're there.
And that's funny, because every time I go back for a visit, it feels light and airy, and I'm glad to be there.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, see, that's how, when I leave the Sioux,
Yeah.
and then when I would come here,
Yeah.
it would be
The opposite.
the opposite.
Because for me, it's going back home.
Yeah,
And maybe if I lived there, it'd be different.
it would be. You would feel the same way, I'm sure of it. And also, Brother Curtis does have a pretty big family that lives in that house of his.
He
so,
does.
I thought about that, and I even said, no, that's probably not a good idea.
So remind me and our listeners how it was decided that you would come and live with Brother Shawn. Me.
How it was decided?
Yeah, how did we figure that out?
I think I messaged you, and I said, hey, you got any room for me or something like that? And you said, oh, I was waiting for this.
That's true. Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. Yes, now that I remember. Yeah, and I said, yeah, I got room for you. I got a spare room here.
Yeah.
You can come stay here. We'll get you a job and get you all set up.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is my goal, is to come here and heal properly.
Because you're back to square one, basically.
I am.
You have no money. You have no job. You have no car.
No lights, no motorcycles.
Not a single luxury.
Not a single luxury.
Right. So here you are, and Brother Shawn is going to take care of you.
Yes.
And put you on the right track.
On the right track.
Even though half the time his life is a mess, we're going to hold hands and get each other through the dark times.
That's right.
To be overly dramatic about things.
Yes. And
we're probably not actually going to hold hands.
no,
but
definitely not.
We might sit beside each other on the couch.
We might. Yeah, that's about as far as it's going to go. Thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, the dark times were looming, and
The walls were closing in on
the
you.
walls were closing in on me, and there was, and a lot of people are not really going to understand, because I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people questioning that, like, oh, he just up and left and he moved to Timmins?
Well, because that's what I want to know.
Because I didn't tell a whole lot of people. I keep my private life private, and I don't post everything on social media for everybody to know.
Right.
And so
here you are.
here I am.
What I want to know is what it's like to totally uproot your life at this age and move to a completely different town. Like I did it. Well, when I was 19, I moved from the Sioux to North Bay for school.
Yeah.
Stayed for 7 years. When I was 26, I moved up here to Timmins.
Right.
And that was a big change, and I didn't have much support. I had the girl I was seeing at the time.
Yeah.
And my buddy Renee, who was here, and a job to go to. So I had the job.
Yeah.
And so there was that. And that was difficult at 26.
Right.
And I've thought about it in the years since, like quitting my job or transferring to the Sioux as a mailman from here in Timmins to the Sioux or something.
Yeah.
But I've got a whole life here.
Right.
I've been here for a decade and a half.
Yeah.
My kids here. My friends are here. I've got friends in the Sioux, but I've got a whole life here.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine doing it. It kind of scares me. And you're 9 years, 10 years, 9.5 years younger than I am.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel? Because you've got kids in the Sioux.
I do have. I have kids in the Sioux. I have lots of friends in the Sioux. I have, a pretty involved life in the Sioux.
You do.
You know, I don't think the reality of it is completely sunk in yet.
Well, you've been here.
But I've been here 3 days.
As we're recording this, it's Monday evening.
Yes.
And you got here pretty much Saturday morning at 2 a.m. because you left Friday evening, and it took 8 hours.
Yeah, a
through
whiteout
snowstorm.
condition. Yeah, that was great.
So you've been here a couple days.
Yeah.
And today after work, I took you around and handed out resumes, and we picked up some food and supplies for living conditions.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. See what kind of feedback you get from the possible employers.
That's right.
Here's
hoping.
Are you feeling optimistic? Are you scared? Like, what are your feelings? Like, you have how much money in the bank right now? Like less than $200.
Less than $200. Yeah.
And you have nothing that comes out automatically though.
Not on this account.
Okay.
So
you're good.
I'm okay.
And
but I'll tell you how I'm feeling is actually I'm feeling somewhat relieved right now.
Okay.
Because I got a lot of that other weight off my shoulders.
Like the car.
The car and all that extra stuff that I can't handle and deal with right now, obviously. So there's a little bit of that. I'm not missing anything yet, or
nothing sunk in, maybe.
Yeah, like it's not. I mean, I've only been here for a few days. I'm used to coming here for a week at a time, anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have any fear about starting a life here? Like, we don't have like an end date for when you're leaving.
No, there's no end date. But initially, the idea was about a 2-year stay to rebuild and return a better version of me.
Right. Because you feel like you've ruined everything?
Yes.
Is that how you feel?
Yes.
Or
I feel like I've failed miserably and completely.
So you don't feel like life has happened to you. You feel like you've made these decisions and you've...
I feel a bit of both.
Okay.
I feel like life has certainly not handed me any favors.
Right.
And I like to blame it on the universe.
Of course.
I've tried I've tried to adjust how I looked at things from before, where I used to blame the universe for everything. I would call it the curse of the universe, and I shouted and I would challenge it all.
Okay.
And clearly nothing was working.
Right.
So I had stopped that within the last year and a half, and I tried to focus and be positive and be happy and try to think what I wanted to achieve. And before the new year had started, I said, okay, 2019 is going to be my year. I'm going to rebuild, redesign, and reclaim it all. And da-da-da-da. And then January hit, and then February hit, and it just...
Well, as we're recording this, it's April 29th. This will come out, I think, May 2nd. But it's still the beginning part of the year. So maybe the first part is crap, and maybe the second part is your year.
To counter that, I feel like that has been the pattern for the last 9 years.
Oh.
The beginning of the year, within that first 3 to 4 months, there's always something.
Some kind of crap.
Some kind of crap, tragedy, destruction, disorder, whatever the case may be. And it's enough to knock you off your course. And so you spend the better part of that year trying to get back to where you were.
And then just when you get back,
you get back, it's the next year and another derailment. And I feel like that has been going on year after year after year after year.
Now, do you think it's your mindset causing that, or that's just a coincidence and that's how life is for you? Or are you
I'm calling it like I sees it.
Okay.
And it just seems to be unfolding
as that is.
Yes.
Are you taking responsibility for some of the things that have happened to you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I know who to blame when the blame is needed to be pointed at myself or others or whenever the case may be. But I know where I've gone wrong. I know what I've done.
You've made some incorrect financial decisions.
Yes, and I think we all do.
I know I have.
It happens, and I'm not proud of it, and I'm not happy with any of it. But it's happened.
So one of the things you learned this year, and correct me if I'm wrong, but do not invest in Bitcoin by a guy you meet on Instagram.
That would be absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So you'll never do that again.
I will never do that again.
Okay. All right.
That's for certain.
And we've talked about how to fix you up financially.
Yes.
And I think we've decided that when you start working, your checks are going to go into my account, and I'm going to give you an allowance, and we're going to divide it up. Some rent money, some food money, some savings money, some money for your kids, some money for you.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we decided.
I think so,
and
yes.
I think we're going to do that for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
And then reevaluate and see how you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we've decided?
I think that's what we decided.
That sounds fair?
That sounds fair.
Because I'm trying to help you.
Yes.
And you realize that.
Yes.
And I'm trying not to be a dictator.
Right. And because I don't respond well to dictatorship.
You don't.
No.
I know.
No, not at all.
So what I'd like to think is this is kind of like more of a partnership.
Yes.
With me taking
financial responsibility for myself.
Yes.
Yes.
And is that overstepping my bounds, or this is something that you need and want?
This is something I definitely need and want.
Okay, good.
Now, if there needs to be adjustments made accordingly, then I will obviously voice my opinion on it,
of course.
and let you know what I would like to see.
Yes, because I'm just trying to help you out.
Yes, absolutely.
And whatever you need is what I'm here for. I'm your older brother. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's been years and years since I've had family around, other than my son. So everybody says, this is good for you, both of you, I think.
Yeah.
And people are like, you're taking your brother in? Wow. You know, and they're all like, that's really impressive. And I'm like, well, not really. I care about him. I'm going to take care of him.
We've always had a really good relationship, though. So it's not weird.
No.
Like, I told people I was going to go live with you here, and they're all like, oh, well, at least you got a place to stay.
Right.
I'm like, exactly. Like, I'm not concerned about, about that.
And so far so good, would you say?
Yeah, it's this is a nerd haven, so
it kind of is. I do have a lot of things.
Yes, you do.
It's going to take some adjustment for me.
Absolutely,
living with somebody again.
Yeah, me too, because I was living by myself.
You certainly were.
After living with roommates for quite a while.
Yeah.
And
finally had your own place for about 6 months.
Yeah.
About that?
About 6 months.
Yeah.
And I lived like a king.
You did.
It was great. But I also realized a couple of things. That much house is too big for one person.
You had a big yard.
Yeah.
And
yeah. The house size itself was fine.
It was a good size.
It was just there's maybe too much property. But I mean, it was winter time where I lived there, so it's not like I got to do anything.
That's true. Yeah, because you moved in October, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then it was snow. But
yeah.
So do you have any fears about me being, well, I wouldn't say in charge of your life, but directing the currents of your river? Or are you okay with it?
I am okay with it.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, and is there anything specific that you hope for out of this whole ordeal?
Specific? Nothing specific more than a healthy bank account.
Okay, well, I can definitely help you with that. Nothing that you're afraid of?
I have no fears.
Good.
Other than earwigs and hornets and wasps.
Okay.
But that's...
But you've lost everything.
Yes.
Would you say you're at rock bottom?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would say there's rock bottom. This is pretty much it.
This
for
is
me.
pretty close.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing left to lose. Really.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So.
And I've taken myself out of that situation. Mm-hmm. Now I'm sure things would have went a lot differently, and this is actually a nice little deep extra subject for this episode. I don't like to ask for help.
No, you don't.
No. And if that was different where I did ask for help or decide to ask certain people for help, I'm sure things would have been a lot different. But I'm one of those people that I don't want to bother them.
I get it.
With my issues.
Yeah.
So
it's rare when I'll ask for help as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it.
Is it healthy? Probably not.
Probably not.
And that's it goes with this whole, you cannot grow if you've been surviving the whole way that you've lived your life up until this point. You can't keep doing that.
Can't do the same thing expecting different results.
Exactly, that's insanity.
It is insanity. And what I've been thinking lately for my own self is if you want different results, you have to change your thinking.
Yes.
And I've been trying to model that in my own life. And it's not easy.
No.
Because nobody's perfect.
Yeah. Nobody's perfect. We're a couple of nobodies. Therefore, we're perfect.
There you go. Because nobody's perfect.
That's right.
That's it. I like that. So yeah, that's what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you hear back from some kind of an employer soon.
Yeah, let's hope so. I'm aiming to be employed by the end of this week.
That would be good. That would be good.
You know.
Yeah, because I'm not rich.
Right.
I'm not going to let either of us starve, you know, but I've got bills.
Yeah.
I've got a good job. I don't see any chance of not having the job. So we're not going to both be homeless.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Because I don't know where we would go.
Me neither.
But...
Because choices are short and slim for those.
I think we'll be okay.
I think we'll be fine. I think things will be good.
I think we'll be good too.
Yeah.
I think we've got this covered. I think we'll be fine. Everything will be okay, and we'll figure it out together as we go along. As long as we keep talking.
Yeah.
And you keep listening to me because I'm the older brother, and that's what's in the older brother rule book, as Curtis used to tell you.
How could I forget?
Because he would tell you that quite often.
Yes, I heard that very much over the years.
I guess that's the end of the podcast about
so.
your life.
About my life.
We'll do another one about other stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll do a follow-up in a few months to see how things are going.
Yeah, progress.
Yes, progress is important.
Progress podcast.
Oh, there you go.
Hey.
So this has been episode 99. I think it's been a pretty great one.
I think it's been a great one as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So guess what?
What?
Next week is episode 100.
Yes.
And oftentimes podcasts do a great big pat on the back, self-congratulatory, hey, look where we are, we made it to episode 100.
It's a big number and a big...
It is, because it's a big deal.
That is.
Not a lot of shows get that far.
No.
But I don't want to say, hey, look at me, look what I've done. I've done 100 shows of awesomeness. So what I've been thinking about, how do we celebrate this? Do you mark the occasion? Probably, but... back in February, my good friend Stephanie came up and we recorded 5 episodes.
Oh, wow.
And I've been slowly releasing them. She was on episode 90, 95. So I'm thinking one of the ones that we did is going to be episode 100.
Ah, yes.
So what that is, the third one we recorded was her and I listening to episode 31 and then talking about that. And I think episode 31 is going to be episode 100. Like the episode 31 review show.
Okay.
And titles are hard, so I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. That's the hardest thing about podcasting,
Yes.
is coming up with a good, catchy title to draw the listeners in.
Yeah.
But, so what we're going to do for next week is homework for the listeners. If they haven't listened to episode 31, they should pre-listen to it before episode 100 comes out, so they know what Stephanie and I are actually talking about. Because, as you know, I was absolutely in love with this girl.
Right.
In my university days.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out she was a lesbian. But I talked about my great love for her and stuff on episode 31.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
among other things.
Yeah.
So listeners should go listen to episode
They
31
should.
and then they'll know what episode 100 was about.
That's right.
So I think that's awesome. Another thing that I've started doing, well, I've only recorded one so far, but I'm calling them tactical minis.
Oh.
Have I told you about this?
No.
Okay. Oftentimes... I like to keep these episodes about 30 minutes or less.
Right.
This one's obviously gone a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to talk about.
There is.
But a tactical mini is like a 2 to 5 minute mini rant or dialogue or thought that wouldn't be enough for a full 20 to 30 minute show.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is record a bunch of tactical minis.
I like that.
And put them in a bunch and make that an episode.
Nice.
So I've only got one so far. But I want listeners, if they have like a little mini rant, they could send it to us.
Mini rants are fantastic.
Yeah, mini rant or just a thought that they have. Could be any length of time. And if listeners would like to do that, just introduce who you are in the voice clip, say your thing, and I'll include it in a future show. Mm-hmm. Soulforge Podcast.
Be featured here.
At gmail.com.
At the Soul
And
Forge.
that's right. And they can do it on their phone with their voice notes.
Yes.
And just email
Easy.
it.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And I'll edit it and make sure the sound quality is good. If they want to do that.
Even better.
It's hard to describe what this is. Because
Yeah.
I haven't put out an actual episode yet. But it's coming.
Yeah.
One of these days. I'm hoping to do a bunch of them every few months. Once I figure out exactly how to do it. But that's it. This has been episode 99. And I had a lot of fun. I hope you did.
Yes.
And
always fun to be here.
There's lots to keep in mind because of this and what we're going to do with you going forward. And
that's right.
How this living situation is going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
But until the next time, listeners, thanks for coming by the Forge and listening to us talk about random things. Remember, soulforgepodcast at gmail.com, soulforgepodcast.com for all the social media links and all the stuff. And if you could review our shows in iTunes or any podcatcher of your choice, that's always good. It helps us be better found in podcasting land.
Yeah.
Yep. So until next time, Thanks again for everything, and remember, I know you're going through a lot right now. Just know, you did this to yourself. This has been another episode of the SoulForge Podcast. Find us on Twitter at SoulForgePod or email the show via soulforgepodcast@gmail.com. SoulForge is a production of Shawn Vanderloo and Friends. You can find Shawn on Twitter and Instagram at Darth Vaderloo. Remember to visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links and share the show with everyone you know. Thanks for stopping by the Forge. We'll keep the fires lit until your next visit.
I'm not doing
What is that?
That's the chair. That's the stool. Just creaking.
Okay, all right. Greetings and salutations. This is episode 99 of the SoulForge Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 99. I'm here with my brother Robin, and we're going to talk all about the new adventures of his life. How are you today?
I'm not too bad, and how are you?
I'm terrific.
Good.
Good. So this is episode 99.
The great one.
So this is episode 99.
Yes. Episode 99.
I was going to make a joke about Wayne Gretzky, but it wasn't going to be a very great one.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there. That's not bad.
I was thinking about it all day, how to make that funny, but...
I almost took the wind out of your sails there.
You did. I had to delete that part, so...
Sorry about that. I had no idea that was coming.
I guess we think alike.
I guess we do.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.